Welcome everyone to Ladder Daily Digest, Midlife Revolution, and Momo No More. Momo.
That would be Momo No Mo.
Momo No Mo.
Dang, Gene.
And it's sort of like Momo No Do as well.
Or like Momo No Go. Speaking of Momo No Go, Megan Connor will be with us shortly. She's a no-go for the next couple of minutes because she's looking for an appropriate quiet place. She's at CrimeCon right now in Colorado. So she will be on shortly because, let's face it, she's the main attraction. Gene and I are just her sidekicks.
Yeah.
And we're smart enough to know that.
She's the only one with real superpowers.
Exactly. Although we don't have our superhero uniforms on. But, you know, if we have a
like
phone
that would
booth,
make a difference.
if we had a phone booth nearby, we could switch into our superhero outfits. But we've already got a great crowd lining up. So I might as well get this out of the way. If you guys wouldn't mind just liking it now, the show, and subscribing, and share this with your friends if you can. We would really appreciate that. That helps us a great deal, as well as you guys to further this endeavor. And it's furthering every week. We're tickled about that.
Yeah, Gene? And another thing that we want to bring up is that the title is The Death of Sacrament Meeting, ? And it's because the terminology of a lot of things have been changing. God is really a stickler for how we need to describe things. What we need to do. When Randy and I were kids, we had our older generation had M, Min, and Gleaners. Remember that, Randy?
Wait, something's going on with your sound, Gene. Is it just me, or is he coming in and out?
If anybody can tell us whether my sound's going in and out, let us know.
Right now it sounds good.
So I was looking at another tab, and maybe that made my computer disrupt a little bit.
Oh yeah, it sounds good now. So ask me again.
Do you remember M, Min, and Gleaners? Like the older generation and the young adults when we were kids. And we were doing just before we entered young men's and young women's.
Yeah, sure.
Which was Scouts for the boys, and then Beehives, Maya Maids, and Laurels for the girls.
Right.
The young adults had something called M, Min, and Gleaners. And the M stood for mutual. So mutual men, and then women were gleaners. Randy, we don't have Tim here today, but he was around when gleaning was in biblical times. Do you know what gleaning meant?
When gleaning was just a twinkle in the eye of the Mormon church. Gleaning means to soak in information.
Yeah, and back in the day in Christ's time, it meant to, like, after the field workers had gone through the field and picked the crop to be put in baskets and things to go off to market. There were remnant, unripe fruit that would get ripe over the next few days. And so poor people were allowed to glean from the fields the additional fruit so they weren't trespassing. And so women were named that for some reason in the Mormon church. Let's say 60 years ago.
Oh, well, I learned something. So they were gleaning was picking up all the leftovers.
Yeah, so it's like they were making the most out of a bad situation, or being thrifty, or however they wanted to phrase that. Probably it stemmed from, our parents and their relatives grew up in the Depression, and so it's more than likely make use of everything that you have, right?
Right.
And so then that got changed to just young adults. And
well, I'll be jiggered. Butter my butt and call me a biscuit. I did not know that.
And also growing up, you and I were deacons and teachers and priests. Every 2 years, we just got older, and that automatically qualified us for a higher priesthood calling. You remember that?
Deacons and teachers and priests. Oh my. Yeah, I do remember that.
But prior to 1921, anybody in the ward, any man, held deacon, teacher, and priest jobs. The kids pretty much were just did chores and didn't really care about the kids. But somebody had the idea, and it probably was God telling the leaders, saying, hey, we need to give names to those younger groups of men and give them responsibilities so that they stop disrupting our meetings.
Yeah,
right?
That's a God thing. Yeah.
We'll teach them some principles. We'll help them, learn things. And they threw in, teachers quorum president and all these things so that the youth had some leadership opportunities. And really, it was kind of a good, corporate type of a move. Let the kids be kept busy and give them opportunity to grow. Seemed good to me.
Well, this is going to freak you out a little, but I was raised in Arizona where we have the monsoons and all kinds of thunderstorms. There were a lot of lightning and thunderstorms, especially throughout the summer. And when the thunder would crack so loud and so often, everyone would hear an explosive sound but me. And I would hear the voice of God. I would hear all of the commandments, all of the instructions coming through that thunder. And then I would call Salt Lake and pass that on to the prophets. And I heard that thing about naming the things for the young men and young women. So
you're a second witness to that?
No, I'm the first witness. And the prophet is the second witness. Some people may find that unbelievable. I just can't imagine why. And salt and pepper, thank you. You're right. I did go to the barber. And I'm a little trimmed up right now.
You can run faster and jump higher now. You've lost some weight.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know if I've lost weight since last week. But
the hair, if they cut the hair off, that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's mass. It has mass.
Yeah. No, no one in my life has ever said, you're looking a little thin. You really need to eat more. But I wish they would. And just once, I'd love to go to the doctor and have him say, you know what? You are not getting enough fat and calories in your diet. You need to probably try to eat more donuts and, pastries.
Yeah, I could take that recommendation. Actually,
You already do that.
As if the doctors have said that to me. I'm preemptively giving my own prescription. So
you don't get weight. You don't gain weight, and people hate you for that, Gene.
I gain weight, but I know how to place it on different parts of my body so it keeps it out of the way.
Well, I'd love to know what part of your body you put all your weight in. Maybe I don't want to know that.
So Megan said that she needs a link and I was wondering about that too, because when her laptop also, the battery died, and so she's using her phone, and often I can't use my phone for StreamYard very well. So I have put in the chat the StreamYard link for people who want to hop on and put their 2 cents in. The purpose of our show is to make the news democratize the news, I would say, and allow other people to comment on things. Most of the other news shows have just talking heads giving their opinions. And sure, you can pitch in the chat and say some things, but it doesn't get to the broad audience. So we offer that service to our audience.
And you can let us know your opinions, and we'll let you know if you're right or wrong. Because you'll only be right if it matches our opinions. Okay, that's where you're supposed to chuckle and kind of agree with me, Gene, or come up with a quip after that.
Ha ha, I agree with you. I'm giving Megan the link. Why don't you queue up something and talk about what you're going to queue up?
Okay, yeah. here in the post-Mormon atmosphere, we get to hear a lot about what's going on in the church that we left. And those of you who are still members, of course, you get to hear it firsthand. But I listened to a video the other day that I thought was very interesting, talking about some of the new terms that the church would like the members to use. And I'm going to go ahead and cue that up. Oh, look, I think we've got Miss Megan here with us.
So she's muted right now, but here she is.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, we can hear you.
Wait, hang on one second.
Now all she needs to do is turn on her camera.
Well, she might be in a noisy place and maybe doesn't want to bother people right this second. But we do know Megan. So yeah, maybe what we'll do is all mute Megan or mute yourself until she gets to her place. And Randy, go ahead and show the clip, introduce it again. And
okay, sure. Let me play this for you and tell me what you think.
So I added it to the stage and you can play it now.
Because of my profession and the clients that I have, I often get to see things before the general public. And one of those things is this church communication guide for local units, how we communicate as disciples of Jesus Christ from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's a guide to help members have a unified voice in the terminologies that they use as members of the church. Now, I am no longer a member of this church. I removed my records, and I was a member for 22 years of my life, all of them being my adult years, all right? And so I left just a few years ago, and I still work in this space in order to communicate policy change, historical accuracy, and to, just help members who are still trying to strive to be better or hope that the church can change in how they approach certain policies or doctrine or whatever.
No, I can do that. Hang on just a second. Let me.
Said, this guide is oddly specific and just sort of strange and weird. So when it goes to the section of our voice, which, by the way, this guide is going to be presented to members as training so that they can understand how to speak like members of the church in a way that they're perceived not to ostracize or be weird or be considered weird by others, which, well, let's talk about it, right? Okay, so it says on section 3, it says our voice, considerations and alternatives for church-specific words. We sometimes use words or jargon that may convey meaning within the church culture, but can be misunderstood by others. Makes sense. Yeah, that's nice, right? Use words that are simple, clear, and doctrinally correct. This list clarifies some common use terms. You can find additional terms and alternatives at guide.churchofjesuschrist.org. So you can go there and find a guide of sorts that can help you as well. The ones that stood out to me and the words or terms that the church uses, right, versus the consideration alternatives are wild to me, okay? So for convert, like in the church, they used to use the term convert. They now say, consider using new member of the church. All right, simple, not too crazy. Now for fellowship, right? Fellowshipping a possible new member, so to say, they recommend using the term or the noun friendship. And as a verb, consider to get to know.
So just those two, first of all. What do you think about those, Miss Megan?
Well, I will just say, I think that this whole changing of in speak is it's a way for the church. It's another way for the church to rebrand itself. I think that the church knows that it has a bad public perception for a lot of different reasons. And I think that they understand that a lot of cults have in speak that has, it's a specific type of language. And if you don't know the language, you don't fit. And I remember when I was writing my book, when I was writing the Mormon chapter, I actually did write an entire vocabulary lesson for people, because when you talk about the church, you can't help but use some of that in speak that people just don't understand. And so I almost, wrote it so that people could understand the in speak. So I think they're trying to change that. I think it's a conscious decision to do it because they know that it's part of the negative perception of the church.
That's a great comment for sure. And we really appreciate you being here because we know that it's not easy for you right now. Because
So sorry to be so late.
You're out of town and at the Crime Con. Gene, what do you think about the two that he suggested we change? Well, that the church is requiring that we change.
Are they requiring it, or are they just making suggestions?
Well, he said that it will be coming out to the members. The church is asking them to make the changes.
Those suggestions are not suggestions. They're going to require it. I mean, it's going to be like they're going to shame you into requiring it.
It's the same thing with the word of wisdom.
Word of wisdom, right. So what were the first two he said?
He said new member instead of investigator, or instead of convert.
Or friend.
Or friend, yeah. That's the one that's the one that bothers me, because it's like, if I'm talking to the missionaries and I decide to come to church for the first time and they start introducing me to everybody as their friend, I'm like, I'm not really your friend. I'm, trying to learn about a new church, but we're not really friends. Like, we don't, anyway, it bothers me.
We'll see if they do pushback and they change it to acquaintances.
Let's continue on.
Become friends with or associate with. So instead of saying we're going to go fellowship someone, they're going to say, let's go get to know, let's go become friends with or associate with. Now, if you take this into consideration here, the term fellowship, to then replace it by let's go become friends, let's go get to know so-and-so, it's starting to feel a little odd. Because now if we go look at the term non-member, what that means, like that was the term that they used to use, non-member, they say this term can sound negative and exclusive. Consider instead using all people, God's children, people of other faiths, friends, and so on.
Randy, can you pause it for just a second?
It is paused.
Okay. So here's the other thing that strikes me about this that's so absolutely ridiculous and also very, very Mormon, is that they're trying to dictate the words that you use to talk about certain things. So now it's like not only are you going to dictate what kind of underwear we wear, you're going to dictate which words we use to talk about certain situations that we're going to encounter on a daily basis in the church and with our friends. It's like, if you have to be told how to refer to someone because it doesn't just naturally come to you that, like, here's my friend who's learning about our church, like if you have to be, the contradictory thing that comes to mind is that scripture in the Doctrine and Covenants where it says, if you have to be told every single thing to do, then you're a lazy, what is it? I can't remember exactly.
Butthead. Lazy
No,
boy.
then you're not a wise or profitable servant if you have to be told every single thing to do. And maybe it's in
Right.
the Bible. I think it's in
It's
the
not
Bible,
good.
and
It's
they've
not meet to be commanded in all things.
right, exactly. That's what I keep thinking about. And
So yeah,
like
that's a
they're
good
literally
point.
now commanding the words that you use, and if you don't use the right words, you know you're going to get corrected.
Yep. Fellowship off the table. It's you're befriending now, becoming friends. And non-member? Are you kidding me? Now it's a child of God. Hey, I thought I'd bring this person. He's a child of God.
That's right.
Or
You know, what strikes me about that too is that I often would hear people bearing their testimony or giving a personal example in a lesson when they were like, so I was having a conversation with my friend the other day, and he's not a member, but he's still a good person. It was kind of like always this qualifier, like he's a non-member.
I say
So
that
now
about Mormons now. He's a Mormon, but he is a good person.
he is a good person. But but it's like now they're even eliminating the possibility of referring to them as somebody who's not a member of the church, instead saying like, well, they're a Presbyterian. Like, do I have to know what faith they are? Do I have to have some way to qualify their spirituality? Like, why can't I just refer to them as a human being? That's why I greet my channel members the way that I do, because who cares about this tribalistic bullshit? Excuse me.
That's right.
I
Is that
can't
a
believe you
technical
said
term, Megan? You want to
tribalistic.
get into the zeitgeist now?
It's crazy. It's ridiculous that you're supposed to, like you said, this is a person of another faith or a child of God. What? Like
We're all children of God. Like, even Mormons are children of God, right?
they should say, this is an investigating child of God.
So, Megan, you're actually inspiring me to think of something that we could do on this show right now. Is we could think of other words for things. Like instead of saying the restored church, we could talk about the corporation of the president is what the
Exactly. Exactly. And
church needs to be called by.
I call it what it is, say what it is, say the real name, call it a cult, because that's what it really is. Call him the president of the corporation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Call him the president of the MFMC if you want. I mean, call it what it is. Use the correct, like, this is the other thing that, I learned from Natasha Helfer, because we don't teach our kids appropriately about sexual things. Like, call the body parts the real name, because if you don't call it the real name, then kids end up with a warped sense of their own body. And that's how I feel about spirituality too. Call it what
Right.
it really is. It's a
Call
corporation
it
first.
a tallywhacker, Don't call it something like, a DICK.
That would
Okay.
just be wrong.
Okay. Shall we continue on?
Yeah, but I just want to
So,
say, sorry, David Grube has a comment. Call it the principle instead of polygamy.
Right.
you see where I'm getting at here? Like this is, they have the term inactive, right? That is a very common term within the church. They're saying to change it because it says, be cautious about categorizing people. All right. If necessary, consider using less engaged church members. So instead of saying, oh, this member is inactive, say he's less engaged. He's a less engaged church member. People who don't currently participate in church activities and so on. Man, that is a mouthful. My family is less engaged or doesn't currently participate in church activities.
So seriously, we're supposed to refer to someone who's no longer active as less engaged, or someone who doesn't participate in church activities? Those are the two choices.
Well, let's just say that whatever we need to describe, let's use the most complicated phrase possible. For example, instead of saying Mormon, say the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Instead of
Member.
saying LDS or shortening it in any way. So instead of saying, we're not here that often, I have to say, my family is less engaged in every opportunity that the church provides for my family. We've chosen not to participate in every activity. I'm sorry, like, just please make it difficult as possible.
Right?
I could just see whoever is presenting to the Quorum of the 15 is like saying, look, hey, when we made Mormon a bad word, we had all the true believing members really back us up. And we see in social media everywhere, they're chirping at people that use the word Mormon. They say, no, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so they're like, let's do more of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but when I hear these new terms, I really feel the Spirit. So, yeah, this is definitely from God.
Maybe they'll call somebody who's reactivated a lemon fresh member.
Fresh as a midsummer's eve.
Yeah, and so I'm curious to know as we go on in this, I don't know how long this video is, but as we go on, is there a way to refer to former members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Or are we just still calling them lazy learners and lax disciples?
Apostates, fallen
Apostates.
angels, yeah.
Our outer darkness bound.
Heathens, yeah.
Satan's cocksuckers.
Give me 1 second, guys.
Yeah, so go ahead and play it, Randy. We'll do some
Here we
more.
go.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot going on here. And I just had to say something about it because it's for investigator, which was a very common term when I was a missionary. And I always kept hearing like we should stop using the term investigator. Here it says the term investigator may feel impersonal. Well, yeah. And in some cases, it may imply secrecy or government action. Consider visitor, neighbor, friend, and so on. Yeah, it's all right. Well, that's it. That's all I had to say about this. There's so much more. You can go check it out yourself, or if you are a believing member and you are an actively engaged church member or child of God, or friend or neighbor who is trying to become friends with other church members, you can learn how they speak now. All right.
Well, isn't that special?
So I finally actually found, and it's in the middle of a big guidebook. And I'm going to provide the link to the guidebook for everybody in the chat. Let's see. It's on page 46 and 47, where they have all the new words. Because, they're probably like the family proclamation. They're going to have people print these out and make posters or wall hangings or quilts.
And force the youth to memorize them and repeat them.
Do a song, a chant that they can. I could just see primary, right? Really messing up all the songs.
There are going to be primary songs about this. In fact, we should write a primary song about it.
That's right. So everybody has now, they're armed with that that link.
Yeah.
There it is.
Assets. Are those
It's
female asses? Asses and assets?
No, you know that they hold their intellectual property as assets.
True that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Even how they use terminology in their link.
Yeah. Well, I have another little video that addresses a little more about the way that we can keep non-members from being offended as we try to discuss the church with them. So if it's okay with y'all, I'll go ahead and play this one.
That's right. Your friend and mine, Jared Halverson.
Yeah, he's sure a neat guy, huh?
He has some neat qualities.
I think I'll.
Have a loved one who has left the church or left the faith and just will not let you bring it up again. Every time the conversation starts to go up,
Yeah.
their dukes go up as well.
I'm sorry.
And have a loved one who is,
Okay.
what do you do if you have a loved one who has left the church or left the faith and just will not let you bring it up again? Every time the conversation starts to go up, their dukes go up as well. And they shut down that topic any chance they have. It's the unmentionable now. And yet, it's exactly what you know they need. But they now seem allergic to the very medicine that you're trying to prescribe. What do you do then?
Can I just say that he's full of horse manure? Because
Yes, you can.
this is the opposite of what the actual case. I would love for my TBM family to approach me and talk to me. Talk to me about why I'm not a member of the church. Come on, I encourage it because I'd love to share some of my information. And this wingnut, is saying, well, they just clam up and they want to fight and don't want to hear anything. No, he's got that completely mixed up. It's
Although I'll add one viewpoint. There are lots of people who stop attending church because it's not doing it for them. And they don't want to talk about the church at all, right? So he's addressing those types of people. And it's hard for us, we'll say, militant ex-Mormons to understand we're willing and ready and able to discuss truthful Mormonism anywhere we come across it. But a lot of people that leave do feel a little bit of embarrassment or something because they just can't put their finger on why Mormonism isn't working for them. And so they don't want to hear what other people's callings are. They don't want to hear about how somebody prayed and somebody got healed when they kind of intrinsically instinctively know that it's BS, right? Whatever they're saying. So they don't want to hear it. They're not interested in letting their loved ones know truth because they might not have all the truth. They haven't looked at the Gospel Topics essays or the Joseph Smith papers or listened to John DeLynn or Radio Free Mormon or Bill Reel or Momo Nomo, we'll say.
I guess
That's
that's a valid point.
Yeah, it's an important point, Gene, because it's such a spectrum and it's so personal. Everybody feels differently about it. But for this person to assume that because someone is not attending church anymore, that they don't want to talk about spirituality or religion, or they don't want to talk about the church, it's like this awkward thing of like, do I say something? Do I not say something? How about you just treat it like any other regular old relationship and you talk to the person and ask them, how do you feel? Because Randy's going to give a different answer than Gene, and Gene's going to give a different answer than me, and I'm going to give a different answer than each one of my 6 kids who are out. So, the part of the reason why I wrote a big long email to my family members when I left is because I didn't want my parents specifically to bring it up all the time and talk about it all the time and say, we're praying for you to come back to church, or we know you'll find your way back to the church. And so I wrote them an email specifically telling them, I'm fine with my spirituality. I know that you guys are going to continue to believe, and I know that me leaving causes a problem for you and your faith. But I don't want to be told that you're hoping I'll come back someday. Let's just assume I'm not going to.
Well, that's a good point. And I was a little hasty because not everybody thinks like me. And you're right. I have a very dear friend who is so private. They don't want to discuss anything about it, but with any members of the church, because their mind is made up, and that's, they don't want to hear about it. So I apologize. I'm a little hasty in saying that he's completely wrong, because yes, he's right. There are some that don't want to discuss it.
Yeah,
I
and
happen to be one that says, bring it on,
yeah,
That's right.
and I wasn't meaning to try to correct you, Randy, but I just thought, Gene has a good point.
Yeah.
And I think you have a good point too, like, because I am one of those people that, as we play the video, it'll become obvious. I don't want people to talk to me in the way that he is suggesting that people talk to me. Like, not
Yeah.
at all.
Well, that's
Right.
okay. I need correcting a lot. I am the first to admit that. So, yeah, that's a good point by both of you.
And I think I'm going to start saying to my TBM friends, it is so much fun to kick against the pricks now that I have steel-toed boots of rational thinking behind me.
Right?
I had a TikTok commenter one time comment, "It is really sad that you have chosen to kick against the pricks." And I thought to myself, that is literally what I feel like I'm doing. And I absolutely love kicking against the
That's
pricks.
right.
The
Megan loves
pricks,
kicking against the priesthood pricks,
I do.
bishop pricks.
bishop pricks.
Really, any pricks. I mean, classify them how you will.
Yeah.
That's
I'll
right.
kick against all of them.
Pricks are pricks. Okay, here we go. Let's continue on.
This so-called cure you keep trying to force feed me
You can
is
do a little bit
feeling
more
worse
volume.
than the disease. 45. For the word
By the way,
of the
I don't
Lord
need a
is
cure.
truth. He was just talking about the word. Give diligent heed to it. Live by it.
Go ahead, Megan.
I just was saying, by the way, I don't need to be cured. I don't need any
Right?
kind of a cure. Please
Yeah, we're
stop
just,
looking at me as someone who is sick in need of medicine, because I'm not.
yeah, that's like the gay, them trying to say that the gays are just sick. The
Yeah.
homosexuals are just ill and they need to be cured.
Yeah. And it makes me angry that that's the way, obviously, this person feels about people who are not members, regardless of what their specific designation is. And it's the way that the entirety of the church membership and leadership feels about non members, whether they've left the church or whether they've never been in the church. They view everyone else outside of Mormonism as sick and in need of some kind of a cure. And that is disgusting to me.
Yeah, that is.
5. For the word of the Lord is truth. He was just talking about the word. Give diligent heed to it. Live by it. But if that word seems toxic to the person that you're trying to reach, let me give you some alternate medications
Here we go.
that are meant to cure the same disease, but go about it in a different way. Let me give you some synonyms. Word of the Lord is truth. Ah, there's a synonym. Whatsoever is truth is light. Ah, there's another one.
Yeah, that wouldn't make me angry at all if someone said, "Hey, I know what you're feeling, but let me tell you about the truth." That would just piss me off more.
Yeah.
Whatsoever is light is spirit.
Truth.
So there's yet another. And then the final, even the spirit of Jesus Christ. Now, pause there. And what the Lord has just given us in that one verse are 5 different possibilities. All that do the same thing, that work the same kind of spiritual magic, but they're just different enough that what might push one of them might push someone away, but that same person might be open to one of these other possibilities. Let's say I'm trying to reach my prodigal child. And every time I bring up the word, it's like, well, are you going to quote scripture to me? Seriously? I've closed that book and I never want to open it again. Oh, okay. Well, forget word. Can we talk about Jesus? Now, some people are totally open to that. I don't want the LDS interpretation of the word, but I still love my Jesus. Well, if I can't quote scripture, can't teach a word, can't bring up Jesus, what do I do? Well, how about spirit and anything that invites it? You don't have to call it the Holy Ghost, but anything that brings the Spirit into the life of that person. What about light? That sounds even less churchy than spirit does. Let's go out and walk in nature and see the light of creation. Maybe you'll notice some fingerprints on it. Or truth, because truth, there's so many ways that it can come, including through non-LDS sources. Some of the most incredible truths have been taught philosophers, writers, poets, artists. If it resonates with people, we'll see that in a moment, it's because it's truth that's there.
Wow.
What do you do if you have a...
There you go.
Sorry.
I heard him say magic. And so that made me think, yeah, if you still believe in magic, if you think something magical is coming from somewhere other than your own person or the people around you, yeah, you can be taken in by lots of con artists, right?
Do you believe in magic? Yeah, that's a real sneaky plan he's got. You don't even have to say Jesus Christ, say light.
You know, what he is teaching here and what the church is suggesting is manipulation. That's all this is. Rather than using your plain language the way you would describe it authentically, they're trying to get you to relearn a new vocabulary, and that is manipulation, period. There's no other way to describe what they're doing here. They're trying to manipulate you into having a discussion about the church by classifying it in different terms. That's no different than if a pedophile came up to my daughter and said, "Hey, can we take a picture together? I think you're really pretty." He's grooming her. He's not saying what he really wants or what he's really going to do. It's the same effing thing. They're grooming you to have a conversation about the LDS church because their only motivation for talking to you is because they want to convert you. They don't give a crap about you personally.
You know, to go along with the same thought, you know, they've been told they have to say the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I think what they're doing is preparing to let the members know that they can now drop of Latter-day Saints, because while the members are told that they need to utilize that phrase, all of the publicity things, all of the missionaries that go online now, all of the commercials you see, they're only saying the Church of Jesus Christ. That's
100%.
it. Yep. They're just getting ready to make that change and let people know, hey, guess what? You can drop that last part. They're getting away from Mormon just in preparation for this, you know, the name of the church being changed.
And I think you're right there. I think they are going to change it. There's definitely the whole purpose, but it's funny because the whole purpose of saying Latter-day Saints was because Jesus was coming in this generation in the 1830s.
Yeah, it's been the latter days since 1836, right?
Yeah. and so the funny thing is even as they're talking about Jesus is just around the corner even more, they're going to remove the thing that told people Jesus was around the corner 200 years ago.
It should be the Church of Jesus Christ of past days.
Yeah.
It should just be the Church of Cheese and Rice, and we just go have lunch.
I prefer risotto, but my grandfather, who was born in 1921, I believe, was told in his patriarchal blessing that he would live to see the Savior come. And he died in 1985.
Wow.
So
we just missed it. We didn't see it happen.
Just barely missed it. Well, maybe he did come and we just don't know he's here yet.
That could be the whole reason why Nelson is still alive.
That's what people have been saying, is that maybe Jesus already came and we just don't know he's here yet. There was like a big movement of people who were saying that in the LDS church.
Well, I think I saw him in Mesa, Arizona one time. I was in a patrol car, in a police car, driving down the road, and my partner and I both passed this guy walking down the street in a red robe with the white robe with the red sash. Anyway, he had long hair and a beard and sandals. He didn't have a crown of thorns, but I said to my partner, I think we just saw Jesus Christ. And he said, yeah, and chuckled. And I said, wait a minute, what if it really is him? I mean, how do we know it's not? But yeah,
I
all
think
those
I
that were,
saw him. I think I saw him at a gay pride parade one time. He was wearing a white robe and a rainbow sash, and he was riding a skateboard. And he had the long curly hair. I mean, he looked just like Mormon Jesus. So I'm assuming that's probably him.
And you think Jesus would be really good at skateboarding?
Probably, yeah.
If you can walk on water,
That's
skateboarding would
right.
be nothing.
Skateboarding is
right?
a breeze. Yeah,
I think Diamond Dave might be Jesus.
it's
That's
possible.
I'm just suspecting that
He does look
He
like him.
does have he does have fabulous hair.
he does.
But I think that, President Nelson he's going to be 101 any second now, it seems like. And he made sure everybody knew when he turned 100 that it was
I
amazing.
thought he already was 101. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
No, he's
Birthday.
about to turn 101.
Yeah, about to turn. So I think, people might think he's staying alive so that he can see Jesus. And what I think it's the other way around. He's staying alive so that Jesus gets a chance to see him while President Nelson is walking the earth.
Whoa, that's a good
That's
point.
deep. Yeah.
In the book Visions of Glory, they said that Jesus came already and was helping to, clean up the aftermath of all of the earthquakes and the people who died. And then he showed up in the conference center in a JCPenney suit and a red tie. So, really he could be anywhere. And
Yeah.
he could be right. That could be him right there, sitting right over there.
Uh,
No,
ask him,
oh
Megan.
no,
Ask him.
sorry. He's drinking a beer. It can't be him.
Oh,
And
just
if you think about it, almost everybody sees Jesus all the time because everybody's always exclaiming, Jesus Christ this and Jesus Christ that. So he's everywhere.
yeah. If you do ask that guy, Megan, don't say Jesus. Say, are you the light, or are you the truth? Because Jesus might scare him away. And guess what? Guess who else is the same age as President Nelson that
Dolly
Jesus
Parton.
Who?
probably wants to see?
Who?
Dick Van Dyke.
Oh,
Same age. And guess what? Dick looks a lot better than President Nelson.
Still
So if
dances better
anyone,
than-
well, if anyone is a prophet between the two of them, it's Dick Van Dyke, because
right.
he's way healthier, I believe. Now watch, he'll die tonight, but
That's right.
yeah.
So it is amazing. The other thing about Mormons and brand, changing the brand, is that it's happened almost ever since the beginning. Joseph Smith was given one commandment, and that was to translate. And then 5 years later, he brings up the priesthood, the Melchizedek priesthood. That causes a few people to leave because they say, I never heard of the Melchizedek priesthood before. I never heard of all these changes. Joseph Smith had one job, and that was to bring forth the Book of Mormon. Now, all of a sudden, God has changed his mind. That doesn't make any sense to me. But a core group of people stay, right? And so then what happened? Then they leave for Salt Lake, and some of the people don't go with Brigham Young, right? They stay. And so Brigham Young has to rebrand the Mormon Church as, instead of being run by a prophet, it's being run by sort of managers who are the quorum of the 12 apostles. And he's just holding a space until another prophet comes. And he would talk all the time about how Heber C. Kimball was his prophet. And they went by presidents of the church for a long time until David O. McKay brought back sort of the prophet thing, motif. And let's see what else. When they changed, so then they actually changed to make polygamy open in Salt Lake and Utah, and they had to rebrand the church that way. Then they took polygamy away so they could be a state. They had to rebrand. They're not afraid of taking 20 or 30 years to change the message and to change things. That's how long it took for polygamy to finally end, by excommunicating anybody that says that they are entering into new polygamous relationships.
Well, and look how long it took to make some changes within the organization. Like, when I grew up, you went to priesthood meeting that was early in the morning, and then you'd go home and grab some lunch, and then you'd go back and go to Sunday school, and then you'd go home and
Have an
do
afternoon
whatever.
snack,
Yeah.
a nap.
And then at 6 or 7 in the evening, you'd go back to sacrament meeting. And it was the entire day that was taken up. Then someone came along and had this great idea to condense all 3 meetings into a block. And when I was on my mission, it happened, I think, right around when I left on my
In
mission.
1981 or something.
Yeah, well, no, it was before that, because when I was on my mission, it was the block meetings, and we weren't, as missionaries, allowed to go to Sunday school because that was an extracurricular activity. And I said, well, it's stupid that we have Sunday school then. If the missionaries can't attend it, it must not be that important. Why don't they just condense it down to 2 hours? And I wished that they would, but they didn't, until, of course, I'm no longer participating in the Mormon Church. Now it's down to 2 hours. But what do you think's coming next, Gene and Megan? What do you think is coming next for the big change? I'm kind of referring to the title of this episode. I think, Gene, was it you that thought maybe Sacrament Meeting is going to be dead?
So yeah, there's rumors that it's now going to be called Sunday worship services, right?
Right. Anything that others the church from mainstream Christianity is going to go away. And so that means worship service is now going to be instead of sacrament meeting. And I wouldn't be surprised if they change it eventually to communion, like is how all of the other denominations refer to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like 2 words mashed together that Mormons hated when I was growing up: commies and unions. And you make it
But
communion. That's why they didn't like it when I was growing up.
yeah, I just think that what we're going to see is a gradual shift for Mormonism to become more and more like other mainstream Christian denominations. So anything that is strictly Mormon is eventually going to go away. And, we saw Community of Christ sort of did away with the Book of Mormon. I think, that's going to be a hard one for them to kick, but they're going to try to rebrand it, I think, in some way as well, because they have to.
New songbook too. That's another part of the rebrand.
Yeah, and here's the thing that suggestion that I will give to any members of the Strengthening the Church Members Committee who are watching the episode. One suggestion is you've got to find a way to incorporate Amazing Grace into the Mormon songbook, because until you do that, you're always going to be seen as other, because literally every other denomination sings Amazing Grace except Mormons.
And so they didn't put that in the songbook this last time?
No, because it glorifies the idea that it's grace alone that saves you.
Well,
we all know that Mormonism is all about grace and works. Right. Grace after all you can do, basically.
Maybe they'll add lyrics to it. Maybe they'll have one of the stanzas or whatever say, amazing works.
Right. Or grace and works.
Yeah, because Christ didn't die for all of our sins. We're not automatically forgiven. It has to be Christ forgiving us and the bishop.
Right. We have to be worthy.
Yeah, I also read that the presidency of the church was considering doing away with fast and testimony meeting, because there's too many people getting up that are casting doubts in the members' minds as to the church's validity.
Yes, open mics. I almost said open mouth. Open mic Sunday will go away, and I think it will be replaced by the bishop assigning people to bear a testimony on a specific topic, because that would be a lot safer than just letting people get up and vamp. That's what's dangerous about it. And I just think we're going to continue to see this shift in Mormonism. And Randy, to your point about adding lyrics or changing the lyrics to the song. Mormons already do that, by the way. And a lot of Mormons don't know this, but as a musician who has dealt with church music my entire career, because 80% of choral literature is church music, mainly from the Catholic Church, but also, you know, other denominations. But Mormons already have bastardized hymns that were written for other specific faiths. And I could give you a million examples, but instead, what I will tell you is go into any church anywhere and find one of the hymns that is similar to a Mormon hymn or has the same title and compare the lyrics of those two. Mormon hymns have all been altered to support Mormon doctrine, and they are not the original ones, except for the hymns that were written by Mormon people.
Well, the church is listening to you, Megan, because I just received word from Michelle Judson that the church is adding Amazing Grace to their new hymn book.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So they
When
heard
did
me.
this happen?
I
It's
listen.
2024, but I have to see.
But
I'm going to try
I
to
want
share.
to I want to see the words.
I want to share it soon.
Well-
9 new hymns released.
Yeah, and
New additions to hymns. Oh, I'm not sharing it yet.
they need to throw a few songs from Jesus Christ Superstar in there too.
That's right.
9 new hymns released.
New additions
I
to
will
hymns for
also-
Roman Church include shared Christian hymns such as Amazing Grace.
Well, how about that?
Wow. Wow. They took my suggestion and they didn't even know I was suggesting it. So
Yeah.
I want to say, Cutley commented, my father wanted Amazing Grace song at my grandmother's very Mormon funeral, and the rest of the family had a problem with it. I could never understand that. Nor can I, because I will tell you, last October, I was invited to sing at the funeral of a Mormon former friend of mine. It was a special circumstance. I probably would never have done it for anybody but this person, but she was a special friend of mine in the church who was very kind to me. And I sang at her mother's funeral, and I sang at her father's funeral, and then her sister passed away and she had cancer. And her sister specifically requested that I sing at her funeral, even though she knew I had left the church and she was vehemently opposed to everything I stand for. She still thought that I sang well. So I was asked to sing Amazing Grace at a Mormon funeral. Not Amazing Grace, I'm sorry, Ave Maria.
Oh,
And I did. But it also wasn't held in the chapel. It was at the funeral home. And so the bishop didn't have any say over what was
music.
performed. Yeah.
Right.
you know, just on a side note, Megan, I fairly recently made out my will and everything that I desire once I pass away. And there are a few things that I put in there to be very specific and had it all notarized by my attorney. Number one, I do not want the LDS Church to have anything to do with my funeral. I do not want to be buried in temple clothes because
Right.
there's members of my family that will insist on it. And I made it very clear that's not going to happen. And I do not want any hymns from the LDS hymn book saying at my funeral. And I do not want it to be in an LDS chapel. It's going to be at a park. It's going to be a celebration of life. And I want a party. And I literally listed out what all I want my kids to do to throw this party, because I'm not going to have a Mormon funeral that's just modeled after Sacrament Meeting. That's just a little side note, but
I love that, Randy. And thank you for saying that, because I feel the same way. I think we've already expressed I'm going to have a Viking funeral. But the church and the members of the church will try to control everything. And I guarantee you, I mean, I have a similar plan. I haven't had it notarized by my attorney or anything, but it is written out. It's not in so much detail. But I need to do that, because I guarantee you, if something happened to me right now today and I died, I guarantee you, because I'm unmarried, that my parents would try to control the whole thing and try to put me in temple clothes and all of that BS. And all I can say is that my kids would protest, but since my parents hold some of the purse strings, who knows what kind of control they would try to exert. And I do not want to be buried in temple clothes or have the Mormon church have anything to do with my funeral services.
I forgot. I have a certain number of my funds going to Salt and Pepper in my will as well.
Very good. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
That's right. And I'm going to have a funeral instead of a funeral.
Excellent. I think the best thing would be, since I'm having a Viking funeral, which means they're going to put my body in a wooden boat and set it on fire and send it over a waterfall. I think, everybody should get a chance to shoot a flaming arrow at the boat. Take your best shot and go ahead and set me on fire. Anybody who's had beef with me or not, anybody who just wants to set me on fire, go for it.
May I suggest that you do it upriver quite a bit so that by the time you get to the waterfall, your body will be fairly burned out.
That's an excellent idea. Yeah, we
Yeah.
might need some accelerant of some kind.
Yeah, do that. Have them embalm you with lighter fluid, and that way, when you start burning, you really burn.
I also don't want to be embalmed, so let's put that there too.
Yes, yeah. I put that in there. There's no embalming; it's cremation all the way.
I don't want anybody looking at my dead body after I've passed away and say, "Oh, she looks so natural."
Yeah. Well, living in Spain. Well, I know this show's not about funerals, but living in Spain, once you see the body at the funeral, there's no question. That body's dead, and they do not look good because they just leave it in the house for a couple of days, and by the time they're taking that body to the cemetery, people want it out of their house because it's rank. And the funeral director will sit there at the viewing with a can of Lysol and keep spraying it to keep the smell down. Another thing changing, by the way, is the church is now allowing gospel concerts, singing modern gospel music in the name of the church. And they're like gospel rock concerts. Have you seen this?
Okay, because that's not offensive. Now we're going to co-opt gospel music as well. Good
right?
God.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry.
It used to be.
Go ahead.
Well, it used to be you'd have to sing somber, melodic songs that are out of the hymn book if you wanted to put a concert on for someone. But now they've got these rock concerts that are centered around the church with all this, Amy Grant style gospel music.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys remember when Gladys Knight joined the church, she was called to a specific mission to go around, I guess, I don't know if it was the world, but at least it was the country, to give firesides. And I remember when she came to San Antonio, she had to give a little bit of a talk at the beginning to say, we're going to play some gospel music and it's okay for you to clap. And we're going to play gospel music in the chapel with instruments. We're going to sing loud. We're going to, clap. You guys are free to express yourselves. And, it was a bit of a shock for some people to clap in the chapel. But she wanted people to clap along with her songs and her music. Now, I don't think she's affiliated with the church anymore. I could be wrong about that. But it was a big deal when she joined the church because not only was she a Black American, and she was willing to accept the gospel despite the cultural racist snafu, but she went around and shook things up by saying, like, we need some more lively music in here and we need to be able to clap in the chapel. Anyway, I just thought I'd put that in as an aside.
My kids got to go to her fireside when she came through Memphis. And they absolutely loved it. So, because, they never got to see that kind of stuff with a regular fireside. And by the way, the funeral response is quick and fast, and a lot of people talking about it. So I think maybe one of our upcoming shows, we should do it on LDS funerals versus the
Yes.
pagan funerals.
Yes.
I think
Pagan funerals.
that'll bring a lot of participation in.
Yeah,
I
we should
definitely
call.
want a coven of witches carrying my body through the forest.
Nice.
Right?
On All Hallows Eve or on the winter solstice or something. Should
Something
they
like that.
preserve your body for a specific day? I
They
hear
can
that's
do whatever
important.
they want with it.
Pop that sucker in the freezer and you'll be good to go.
Probably more likely just buried around some nice mushrooms.
You know that
Shallow grave.
when someone cremates a body, and I think I've told you this before, there's about 2 minutes during that cremation where the ribs are perfect and just fall off the bone. Just saying.
That's dark, Randy. Thank you.
Been there, smelled
Anyway,
it.
I had about 23 thoughts go through my head at the same time because I'm at CrimeCon, and I'm going to preserve all of them inside my head.
Oh, we want to hear those thoughts.
Well, first of all, I'm supremely disappointed in my CrimeCon experience because I came here thinking that I was going to be able to find a bag man and a getaway driver and somebody who can hack alarm systems because I'm trying to put together a heist. And where else would I find those people than here at CrimeCon? That's what I thought this was about.
Half the
Get up
people
and
there know how to commit the perfect crime.
right, share your experience with us. Tell us what your expertise is. Maybe I'll recruit you to my team for the perfect heist and we'll get it done. But if you can't do it at CrimeCon, where can you do it? I'm disappointed.
Thank you, Salt and Pepper. Listen, Megan, give me a call because I got people. You want to commit the perfect crime? There's a lot of things I know about that, and I
Well,
know
all
where
right.
I know where to hide a body that no one would ever find it.
Well, I sure as heck know how not to do it because my family has given everyone a lesson in that. So.
Right? Yeah, they made some serious mistakes.
Turns out they were pretty dumb, which thank goodness they were because it made them easy to catch.
So we could make some light predictions. I predict that young girls will be either side by side or change times with the deacons for passing the sacrament, since there's nowhere in the scriptures it says you have to have some sort of priest in order to pass the sacrament.
Well, I think you're right, Gene, and I think that to your point, a lot of the changes that are going to come about are going to be closer to the way that Joseph Smith originally founded Mormonism, because he did have that.
I did not know that. And I guess Megan froze for a little bit wherever she is. There might have been a gap in her.
There she is.
In your
We
Wi-Fi.
We thought you were trying to preserve your body because you froze, but you're good to
No,
go.
it's really just that the space where I am right now, the convention has ended, and more people are coming into this space, and I think pigging up the bandwidth. So I probably am going to it's probably going to get worse as we go along. So
I think we're about to end, but I do want to make a prediction as well that the bread will be going away and that they'll be using a type of wafer that's already prepared because all of the germs that are passed and all the, the pandemic crap and these young teachers that are scratching their crotches and then breaking up the bread. That's got to come to an end.
Can I say something crass? I'm only asking for permission really from the chat because I know you guys won't care if I do it. I guess, is this being broadcast on my channel also?
It is.
It is.
So I guess I'll give a little crassness warning here. I'm about to say something crass, but somebody told me this once and it lives rent free in my head. And the comment that you just made, Randy, brought it fresh to my mind one more time. Somebody said to me, just remember, when you're out there shaking hands with people, that probably at least 50% of the hands have had a dick in it at some point.
That's
during
true.
that day.
probably that day. So that's
For
why I
sure.
don't shake hands. I would much rather hug or give fist bumps or just
Yeah.
wave to it at a distance to some people.
Always smell your hands after you shake hands with someone.
No, don't. Just, I think it would be the ultimate insult after you shake someone's hand to just go with hand sanitizer, wipe it all down.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend coming over in 10 minutes to 2:30 because I figured we'd be ending.
Mhm.
And we're going to smoke cigars and watch the Seattle Seahawks play football. I
That
think that's
sounds
a
like
very appropriate thing to do on Sunday.
that is a perfect Sabbath day activity. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go have an alcoholic beverage with my friends on a Sunday afternoon.
Nice. What are you going to do, Gene?
Megan is going to have her own personal sacrament meeting.
That's right.
Have a wafer and some wine.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Megan, do you have any other predictions though before you go? Can you think
No,
of
I
any off
just,
the top of your head?
I've been tracking this for a long time. You know, Elder Bednar has been doing and I'm just going to call him Susan's husband from now on. He's been doing a bang up job of changing vocabulary for a long time. He has been, you know, trying to alter the way people say things. For example, he's the one who suggested don't call it temple anymore, call it house of the Lord. And we don't call it the atonement anymore. We call it the atonement of Jesus Christ. And there are temporary commandments and all of these things. Like he's been trying to start this ball rolling for a really long time. And I think the reason temporary commandments came up is just as a method of gaslighting everybody into saying, we've been doing this all along. You guys are late to the party. So I just think we've also seen, you know, Moroni disappeared from Google Maps. Now it's crosses. I just think that there's a huge effort by the Mormon church to become more mainstream. And I think that there was a plot, and this is a little conspiratorial, but I think there was a plot to have Tim Ballard sort of normalize Mormonism and, you know, to make it more palatable for other Christian denominations. And I just think that's the direction it's been going for a long time. So we're going to continue to see it move in that direction. So my Amazing Grace prediction already came true. I think we're going to see some more of that. But again, every time the church changes something, it's just another manipulation. That's all it is.
Yep.
There you
Yep.
go. I think the church is going to buy out the Catholic Church and they're going to rebrand it the Mormon Catholic Church, except for the fact that Mormon is a victory for Satan. But that could change with Bednar coming back. He could say, what the hell did President Nelson know about this anyway? He's an old fogey, right?
Well, if Bednar becomes president of the Mormon Church, I'm moving out of the country.
I think he's sniffing at that throne right now.
He definitely is, and I think it's not a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when. And he will be president for a long time because he's fairly young. Unless he gets some kind of disease or unless the world ends or unless, you know, somebody burns down Ensign Peak. I don't know.
Who's Oakley Carlson? Do you
I
know,
don't know.
Megan?
People are, no, I don't know. People are suggesting new true crime cases for me to look into. So I made a note. It's in my notebook. I have a lot of research to do, apparently.
All right.
There you go. So you ready to go then, Randy? Watch the game. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great rest of 2025. I can't wait until they stop calling it Sacrament Meeting.
We love you. We love you all, by the way. Thank you so much for making this special for us by coming and listening to us.
Yeah. Thanks for being beautiful humans. And thanks, Randy and Jean, for being patient with my technology snafus.
That's right. See you next time. And over now. Oh, one thing is like Tuesdays with Tim. We're going to talk about the inconvenient faith.